What is up, guys? Spoke Beat Center podcast. We are here today with my boy Risto, and we're here with Owen.
Okay,
Man, we about to get it cracking. How you guys doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Awesome,
I'm
man. I
pretty
can't
good.
complain. I got a pack of Nooners, man. I'm just chilling. Owen, how you doing?
Um, Pretty good. Just finished up a good Rocket League match, so I'm feeling pumped. I'm feeling ready.
Oh, Rocket
Did
League's
you win
good. I
ever?
gotta hop on that with you guys one day.
Yeah,
Did
for
you win
real,
ever?
bro.
But yeah, we're gonna dive right into it. You know what I mean? That's the best way to do it. So, I guess we can start with the coaching change. Like that's probably the biggest thing that's happened to the Bruins this year. So, I want to hear you guys' thoughts, and then obviously I'll go after you guys. But I want to hear you guys' thoughts on like the coaching change and like how the coaching change has positively affected us and how it's negatively affected us.
Owen, you want to go first?
Yeah, sure. My thoughts on the coaching change. Um, Pretty mixed results so far. Bruins are definitely more motivated first off. Which I think has already substantially improved the results over the last couple of weeks since Sacco's came in. My biggest problem long term, and this is pretty consistent with a lot of teams that change their coaches mid-season. They lack a lot of tactical identity. They lack a lot of structure overall, which as you progress over the season, you need to develop some sort of quality system, whether it's in the attacking and defensive end. Right now, I was talking to you about it a couple days ago, just like pure vibes right now, with the Bruins. Um, the thing that I that the reason the Bruins were so good under Jim Montgomery was how tactically efficient they were, and how much use they got out of their depth guys from the play that Montgomery instilled. That expired to a degree. They felt they had to move on. Whether by the end of the year, I think it will still be pretty tough to determine whether Sacco is the right move over Montgomery. Um, but for now, I think that they had a good string of results, and the last two games are more of an appeal to what I believe is will hurt them long term.
It's a good
I,
point.
I can agree with all of that. That was a great
Yeah.
point. Christo, what do you think?
So I've seen some upside with Sacco coaching. From the beginning of the season, you've noticed like Montgomery's team averaged like either less than 10 shots or like barely even 15 shots. With Sacco, you're up to like 25 and more, which I think is huge because like now we're actually shooting the puck instead of just holding on and like losing it in the offensive zone. So I think that's like a major factor. That's an upside for us.
I think personally too, like the back checking, like we were talking about the other day, like the back checking
Yeah,
has been
that's
pretty
also
eye opening. Because I mean, other than like the other night we saw like against Seattle, the effort's just not there. Like what was Coyle doing on that one goal the other night? Like where like no one is marking anybody. Like I just find that like the consistency has always been a problem. So I feel like with Sacco, like we saw the first like 4 games under Sacco's belt, like Sacco got the team to play defense. Like I didn't really think that that was possible because when Montgomery was here, his offense is predicated. I mean, his
yeah.
system is predicated on offense. So like Sacco having a defensive minded kind of ability or like kind of coaching frame kind of definitely benefits us because that's what our identity should be. I mean, we got Lowry, we got McAvoy, Carlo. Hampus Lindholm's coming back. Like I feel like this team's gonna look a lot different with Lindholm back, and that allows us to give Zadorov less minutes. And I hope that we play Wotherspoon because I think Wotherspoon's great. Like I don't know why he doesn't get as many minutes as he's supposed to be. I don't know why he's kind of like at the end of the bench, but I think that he should get more minutes. He's willing to play defense. He's willing to block shots. He's willing to move the puck, and he can skate. Like I don't know if you guys noticed, like Wotherspoon can skate. So
Yeah,
I think that, Sacco's done. He did a decent job for the first couple of games, but then as we saw, like 8-1 and then keeping Swayman in the game, like you just don't do that. Like, you know what I mean? After like the fourth or fifth goal, just let Corpusalo go in there. Like at this point, like I just don't think that like we should be wasting his 8.25 AAV contract on this defense and like this offense. Like if we don't make a trade by the deadline, I don't think Swayman should just keep playing these types of games where like he's just getting embarrassed because we just aren't playing defense and the effort is minimal. And I can say Swayman too has not been playing quite well. You know what I mean? The past couple of games, he has not played well up to his standard of what he did so far the beginning of the year, I should say.
Yeah,
Well,
I think Swayman's been underperforming as well. Uh, I don't know why. I think like I don't want to like throw stuff out, but this is just my opinion. I think the money got to him. He's had like an amazing past seasons, but this year I don't know like what's going on with him. I know he can bounce back because that's the type of player he is, but it's probably just like he missed training camp, but like it's just such a tough situation to call. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I feel like missing training camps is like the biggest, obviously, eye-opening thing. Like he didn't really get to build continuity with some of the guys that have already come in. So it's like when he was on a contract hold that also I don't think people realize like that affects the coaching staff, that affects the team chemistry. And if you look at our team this year, it's pretty different from last year. It's really not the same team. And I wish we kept Boquist. I wish we kept Bertuzzi. I wish we kept Orlov. Those are three guys who were very, very good for us and that fit the
Taylor
style
Hall
of the
too.
team. Yeah, I agree. And Taylor,
Taylor,
that's another one. Fristo and I were
Taylor
forgetting. I
Hall
was like, I
is
knew we were forgetting one.
Yep.
Taylor Hall is
That,
going crazy right now with the Blackhawks.
Yep. And the thing
I
is his. Oh
yeah
yeah. Owen, go ahead. Go
yeah
ahead.
absolutely. I with Taylor Hall that I think that was one the Bruins in consecutive off seasons made a move to made clear moves trading high caliber players for cap and then failed to seize on that opportunity effectively in my opinion. We look at Olmark this year and that trade dump, and the Bruins used that extra money on Elias Lindholm and Nikita Sodorov, and those were poor acquisitions day one. Um, Not necessarily because they're poor, not necessarily because the talent and the production they provide is poor, more so that it's poor in relation to their contracts. So those cap hits are going to sting. Hampus Lindholm's contract is already probably going to sting Boston a little bit. I think the Bruins were a little lucky that they revived his career to some extent because that contract was already bad. But now we're looking at the other Lindholm, Elias, with this very fresh new contract with no projectability. And Nikita Sidorov has displayed no ability to handle minutes beyond that of a third pair. And with the pay coming in at first pair, first line levels respectively, that's gonna harm Boston long term. And so there's three contracts right there that they're gonna be just anchored by. In terms of Swayman, they're paying good money to Swayman, over 8 mil, but at least at least there is a level of there's a level you can project his talent to sustain from year in year out, which is probably the most important factor in measuring the efficacy of a contract, in my opinion.
I agree, and I think that us playing hardball on Swayman in the first arbitration period kind of set us up for failure because we saw what Saros got, and I
Yeah.
know Swayman was in there at the second the year after the arbitration period he had before last. I know he was in there saying, "Look at what Saros got." I know he was sitting there saying, "I really
Yeah.
don't think that I should be getting anywhere near maybe $2 million less than that." I feel like he kind of felt like he needed to at least be kind of held in the regard of like a Vezina winning goalie, which like he hasn't won that yet. But at the same time, we've seen what he can do at his highest level of play, and I mean like he single-handedly carried us past the Maple Leafs. Like we
Yep.
couldn't score, we couldn't shoot, like he's just save after save. And then like Risto said the other day, like he had like a 49 save game in that series. Like that's crazy. You know what I mean? And his goals against was very, very low. So I think that the money that we gave him is warranted. I just feel like we could have like I don't think Elias Lindholm is a first line center. I don't know about you guys, but I don't think he's a first line center. And I don't think Zadorov should be a second pair guy either. I really think with the talent we have on our team on defense, Zadorov should be on the third pairing. And
Yeah.
maybe not even. Walderspoon might even be able to take his place if he somehow steps up and plays. So I think that is going to be a big thing looking forward. And, as we're looking at like the players who are um, overachieving or underachieving, like Give me like three guys you guys think are like actually playing up to the level of speed that we're supposed to since we've gotten Sacco.
So I got a few guys that are like I think overachieving right now. Actually, no, underachieving. My fault. Obviously Swayman. Um, I think McAvoy and then Lorai.
Okay.
Because Lorai had, honestly, in my eyes, he had a great postseason, and I have no clue what's been going on now
Yeah,
with
he
him
looks
this
lost.
season.
It's
Yeah,
just development. That's all.
He
it is
he looks
development. You're
lost, but
right.
he's
He's
young.
still young. He's
Yeah.
young, right? But I don't know how you go from like a good postseason. But like, wouldn't this be his first NHL season? Like his start?
Yeah, I think this is like his first full year.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the
So
huge
he's
part,
gonna
right?
he's gonna be able to like wean things out, you know. So
Yeah, development's so huge, and it's not. It is nowhere near linear. But what I hope I hope the Bruins are working on, and what they should be working on with Mason Lohrei specifically, um, continuing to leverage his ability to transport the puck in all three zones, um, his ability to skate it. Well, I guess it's transports passing and skating it. I think his biggest weakness is his rush defending. I I don't know if it's a physicality issue. I cannot confidently point that as the main reason he's struggling to defend the rush, but um, he's getting beat incredibly frequently, and he's placing himself in poor decisions or poor positions on the ice, which then culminate in poor decisions when making plays. His rush entry breakups are incredibly few right now for himself and for the team, and that's putting a lot of stress on the guys behind him. That I remember there's been a couple. There was one against Columbus a couple weeks ago, that he was so incredibly far. I think he was pushed like in the high slot. The puck's out of the zone. And Carlo has to play two guys at once, and by the time Lorai reads the play down the middle, the pass gets behind him, breakaway, score on Swayman. And that repeats over and over. That's the same story for Lorai right now. Is his poor reads, and then if he's in position, he's not getting the breakups as well. So
I
that's
think he
that's a
Add
can.
comprehensive
on to that.
weakness that the Bruins need to that they need to focus on, while still maintaining his confidence, leveraging his what he does provide to the team already.
I was just gonna
And
say
I
that.
don't know if they've done the best job with that.
I don't think we have either. I also think another thing that stands out to me is just like the lack of like skating ability. I feel like other than McAvoy, like it just seems like a lot of guys just are not taking the body. Like even McAvoy this year, like I just don't think that anybody's really taking the body. And like Zadorov, obviously Kastelik is like the one glaring one because he's like top five in hits in the league. So like he's the one player who's glaringly taking the body. I will say Kepke also has been taking the body. As far as physicality goes, I feel like that's picked up his play. But like there's a couple guys I'm very surprised about. Like one problem I've always had with Carlo is that like I don't think he's physical enough for someone who's 6'5", 6'6". You should and skates that well. You should be willing to go at guys every single night, no matter who it is. And I feel like he focuses so much on the offensive end sometimes, which he's good, but inconsistently good on the offensive end. Like you could get a couple shots from him a night at like for like 2 weeks, and then he'll disappear for like a week, and you won't get a shot from him. And it's like you have the skill, you have the one timer, you have the slap shot. Like why not get it to the net? Like if Zadorov at least is trying to get it to the net, like why aren't you trying to shoot more? So I feel like the defenseman can shoot more. I feel like the physicality and taking the body could definitely just be a lot more. They could just be a lot more physical on that end. They could have a lot more confidence. So I feel like if we straighten that out, like that gives us more of an identity. Like which way do we really want to go? Do we want to be a strong forechecking team, or do we just want to just worry about playing defense? I feel like there's two conflicted, and McAvoy's not helping. Like I don't want to be hard on him because I do believe that he is a Norris Trophy type player. I don't want to be too hard on him, but if we're really going to see some improvement, McAvoy's got to step it up. Like we've seen Marchand step it up and Zaka since the coaching change. They've been our two best players. Pasternak's shooting more, even though Pasternak's career shooting percentage is like 14% shots on or whatever it is, and now it's like 7%. You know what I mean? So like that's kind of a glaring thing. But at the end of the day, like I feel like another player that's underachieving is Kepke now. Like I don't understand how the coaching change made him underachieve. But like I want to know what you guys think about Kepke and that line. Like
Cole
how do you think
Kepke?
that line's faring? Yeah.
Yeah, I have nothing but good words for Cole Kepke, the most consistent player day in day out all season. I'm gonna be completely honest, the most consistent player for Boston all season long. His production's dwindled down, but that's to be expected from a fourth line caliber player. He's getting 10 minutes a night and making the absolute most of at least 9.5. He's been incredibly tremendous, manages the puck super well. He alleviates his inability to his inability to skate dynamically incredibly well. Because he still he has a good bit of linear speed. His shot quantity is in the higher range, and with the Bruins with Cole Kepke on the ice are tremendous
Hmm.
against fourth line competition. I was looking at some of his percentiles earlier, um,
Give them
and
to us.
those are confirmatory. Honestly, probably one of the best fourth liners in hockey right now, and that really came out of nowhere. I remember before opening night, I was hoping we'd have maybe a guy like Lysell drawn over him, or I forget. There was someone else I can't remember. There's scratched or in the minors opening night that I wanted in over Cole Kepke, and then within 5 games, I was saying, my
I
entire
think it was
mindset
Merck.
switched on that. Oh yes, it probably was actually. Now that
I
I
think it
think
was
about it,
Merck. He's talented. I like Merck.
Merck. Yeah,
Can I
I
tell
Hmm.
think.
you, can I tell you guys my thoughts on Kepke real quick?
Yeah, absolutely.
As much as I hate to say it, but I think this is probably one of Sweeney's best acquisitions this off season.
Yeah,
And
Beecher might be the best player he drafted too. Sorry
yeah,
to cut you off, but
no, you're good. Like what Owen's saying, he's been putting in. You could tell he puts in the effort, even if he doesn't get on like the stat sheet at all. You could tell like he's passionate about the game. Is he like a Jacob Lauko? Absolutely not. But you could see like you see he cares for the game and he plays very well for like the 10 minutes he gets on the fourth line. That's what makes our fourth line so special. Because at the beginning of the season, most of our production was that fourth line. Kastelik,
Yep.
Kepke, and who else?
I think it was
Casper.
Beecher.
Kastelik, Kepke, and Beecher.
Beecher.
Yes,
Yeah.
It was
that was that line.
Beecher in the middle, and then Kepke and Kashelich on the wings.
Yeah,
Yep.
yes, that line in the first I think month got you the most points from line 1, 2, and 3, and
Yep.
that's because they stepped up to the plate and they delivered. So that's all I have to say about him. He's playing great on the fourth line, and
They're the best
yeah,
fourth line in hockey, for sure. They're the best fourth line in hockey. Like
One of the,
I think
yeah, for sure, one of
I
the, maybe the
for
best.
sure. Yeah,
Beecher Beecher is like Beecher's always in the right spot at the right time. Beecher never turns the puck over. Like as much as I want to move Beecher up, like he has to be on that fourth line to create
no,
depth
you
right
need
now.
him there. You need
He
him there
has to
because
be.
he has a role there. I feel like that's
And
his like that's
he
where he
plays
gets
so
most
well
of his
against fourth
production.
liners. He's a first round pick.
Yep.
Oh
So
yeah,
he should be playing very well against fourth liners. Like I feel like him proving himself this year is going to set us up at least to look at him and be like, well, one, like I don't think we're gonna keep Xhaka forever. If Coyle keeps playing the way he's playing, he might get traded. I'm gonna be totally honest with
possible.
you. I think he might get traded. And like I'm not saying that like Coyle at all is bad because he at times when we have been stagnant, he actually has been the only player with a pulse offensively sometimes. Like especially in the Maple Leaf series, he was the only one carrying the puck through the zone with zone entries and succeeding and like finding a guy to pass. But of course he was on the line with Geeky and who was Freddie? Maybe it was maybe Geeky and Freddie.
Probably.
He was on a line with.
Um,
I
yes,
know
yeah,
in the
Yeah,
Maple Leaf series,
I
yeah,
believe
and
you're
always
correct.
on the same
it's like you got two big power forwards who don't have as good hands as you do. It's like Geeky, he's strong, he's big. Like Frederick's big, he has soft hands, but he only has soft hands around the net.
How
There's
old
only
is
so much
Frederick, by
Frederick.
the way?
I think Freddie's like 25, 26,
Yeah.
if I'm not mistaken.
That's also Geeky's
He's
age, which is crazy.
he's still young though. Like he's like
Yeah,
Freddie
I
is
know.
still.
I think that's. I don't want to because Freddie, in my opinion, is he's a good player.
Uh,
Does he have to like that Flyers game? He played outstanding, in my opinion.
oh, for
Um,
sure,
yeah, but I think most of his value comes with his age and like his skill set.
for sure. Okay, I can
Yeah,
understand that.
because you remember there were like trade rumors about us moving him, right?
Right.
And I think it was Dash who brought up like saying like he actually has value. It's definitely because of like it's either his skill set or his age because you could get like 4 solid years, maybe 5 out of Freddie, and it'll be helpful for basically any team in the league. I think.
Like if Freddie could give us like 40 points a year, like I know that might be like maybe asking a little too much, but like
That's a little too much. Let's go
if
25, maybe
if he
30.
can figure out a way to maybe even like 30. Like if
Yeah,
he can figure out a way to get 30 a year, like that helps us out at least offensively tremendously, but we need to pair him with a guy like him and Coyle should be on the same line, but there needs to be another winger to take the pressure off scoring wise. Like, and we just,
Merkulov.
excuse me, sorry, we just don't have, yeah, and that you just took the word right out my
Yeah,
mouth. Like, Merkulov should be on that line. Merkulov should be getting minutes. He showed us
that
he
would
can
be your
shoot.
fast line. That would be
He's
the
got
line that
offensive,
can get speed.
yeah, he's got
Yeah,
offensive creativity. I don't think we've seen offensive creativity other than Pastrnak and maybe Marchand and occasionally
maybe Coyle.
Zaka. And like, yeah, like occasionally Coyle will make a play where you're like, whoa. But like
Yeah,
Merkulov legitimately was getting to the net. He was getting in the slot, getting above the circle. It's like constantly moving within the even strength zone, like keeping the puck in the zone. Like I don't know, I just saw a lot of upside in that, and like putting him down in the AHL. Like Christo, what were you saying the other day about the AHL in our farm system?
we don't give our prospects a chance, and that ruins their development.
And I feel like that's going to ruin his development. At a
Well,
thousand percent
how
might.
old is Owen? Owen, do you know how old Merk is?
Merkulov is
I think he's
I
like
believe he's
21, bro.
22, 21. If I remember, he's
Yeah,
24. He's a little older. Yeah, he's 24.
Oh,
So
he's
he's on the
24.
older side.
I kind of wish
Um,
he'd. Mm,
yeah.
I kind of wish
Another
he'd be
thing,
getting
I do
some
want to
more
mention this
ISO.
real quick. Another guy that should have. I don't know if I'd advocate he should be playing consistent minutes every game for the rest of the season, but someone I think it's inexcusable that he hasn't at least touched the ice at the National this year. Fabian Lysell.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Absolute
yeah.
insanity that he is. It's absolute insanity. He has not played for Boston this year yet. Not once. I just don't
He
I
scored
just don't
today,
understand
actually.
how bad how bad the production has been night in night out from almost every player on the team. I don't understand how Lysell hasn't been given even one chance yet, even one
I
game.
agree.
He scored
I
today,
don't
guys.
understand. It's borderline inexcusable if you're the Bruins.
And he had a great preseason.
This is a prime opportunity to develop the little fucking talent they have, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And I didn't
Um.
even know Merkulov was 24. I thought he was younger. So he
No. Yeah.
realistically, if he don't get called up this year, it's like, okay, he's just gonna rot in Providence
He's gonna be
because he's
like
gonna be
Brandon Bussy.
25.
He's gonna end up like Bussy. Watch.
Like he's like Bussy is like what 26. Like there's
26,
Yep.
no
27.
like in sports, there's this window, right? Like they take the youngest guy, like you'll take a low rye over maybe a guy who's a little bit older, just because he's younger
Right
and he has
over
more time.
Orthway,
Theoretically, you
basically.
should. Theoretically, you should, but a lot of teams will take the older guy. I saw a tweet thread about Logan Stanley on Winnipeg, for example, right? And
Hmm.
I think it was about Logan Stanley and Dylan Sandberg on Winnipeg, and despite the fact that Sandberg produces consistently better results than Stanley. Stanley's been one of the worst defenders in the NHL year in year out for the last couple seasons, and he continues to get minutes on that Winnipeg team because of management's own desire to see to see their to see a decision they made pan out, try to force that decision to pan out favorably. But most importantly, second, there's an inherent bias for older players. Sandberg's putting up providing better results, but they are more marginal in nature. So Sandberg's being canned for a Logan Stanley whose play is more appealing to the archaic eye of management, which is
Mm-hmm.
in his physicality, even though he's fundamentally worse. So back to the Bruins here. I don't know if it's an age issue, but you look at guys like Sidorov who are putting up worse results than certain other defenders on the team like Loride, and that he's given more minutes than that he's consistently getting top 4 minutes at this point still. And I think it's because of that appeal to physicality, that appeal to more archaic style of the game, even though he provides very little to the team overall. In fact, it's probably more detriment at times,
Right.
honestly. And that's the same thing with a lot of the depth guys that are in over Fabian Lysell and Merkulov. That includes even Morgan Geekie a little bit to an extent, but I think the only depth guy that's really earned a spot over Lysell and Merkulov is maybe Justin Brazeau.
He's been doing all right.
I like Brazeau. I think he's a
Yeah.
hard-nosed player. I like him.
Can I bring up someone from the AHL that's I think been playing well as a playmaker?
Yeah.
Frederick, I think it's Brunet.
Oh yeah, Brunet. That's right. I forgot about him. Wasn't
He's
he?
been
Didn't he
like
play
averaging
preseason?
like an assist a game in the AHL right now.
See, and that's the problem. I feel like our coaching
And I
staff
think
just
the
does.
Bruins. Hold on. And I think the Bruins need more players like him. So I know it's not possible because it's
Right.
Sweeney and Sacco. But in all honesty, I'd like to see him get like at least 5 games as a test and see what he could do on like maybe the third or fourth line. Because if he's like averaging, because he's getting tons of assists per game in the AHL right now, I
Yep.
think he could bring that to the NHL level.
But
Honestly,
who would? So if we're gonna bring up these two, like if we were hypothetically to bring up these two, like who are we scratching? Or like who are they gonna play in place of? Like what line are we gonna put them on? We can't break up that fourth line. It's just
no.
can't can't
You break
can't do
up
it.
probably.
I'm okay with breaking up the second line because
Honestly,
the first line Zaka, Marchand, Bergeron right now. I mean Bergeron. See, I'm over here reminiscing.
Bergeron. And
Z-
we all wish. We all wish.
I'm over here reminiscing.
We
Zaka,
all wish we had
Marchand, and Pasta.
Bergeron and Krejci still.
Yep.
Don't
Oh,
worry.
I
oh, and Chara,
Bergeron
guys,
crazy.
and Chara. Don't forget about Chara. Um,
Like the core. I don't even mean to reminisce to stray off my point, but like the core of just Chara, Lucic, Horton, Krejci,
oh, Lucic,
Bergeron,
oh my God.
even Andrew Ference, Adam McQuaid, like Dennis Seidenberg, like that team was
Dude,
1-1.
McQuaid
You
was
can't repeat that
probably
team. And
McQuaid
we
was
had
probably
Tyler
one of my
Sagan.
favorite Bruins defenders.
And Tyler Sagan was nasty, and he was only 19 years old. That's the craziest part. That's another
What did
person
we
like
trade for? What did we get from him again?
so. If I'm not
I
mistaken, we
know
got
we got
Louis.
nothing back.
We got Louis. No, I swear he was part of the Louis Erickson trade
Oh
You're
God.
correct.
because we got Louis Erickson in a pick. It was like a third rounder or something.
I think Joe Morrow was also in that trade.
Yeah. Yep. And
What?
then Morrow, we ended up trading. We actually ended up trading Morrow. I think I don't think
Yeah.
he played for us.
He
I
was a
think we ended
seventh
up
D.
trade. Yeah.
He was a seventh
He
D here. Yeah.
so like that's another example of like the Bruins young players, right? Like we have a track record. Like we've
We
seen
don't
what
trust
Sagan.
our prospects at all, clearly.
But think about it. Sweeney's been the GM since we gave up Sagan. He was the one that gave Sagan up for Erickson, who
Yeah.
don't get
We
me
don't.
wrong, he
That's
was
the thing.
playing great until he started becoming injury prone. I just didn't see a reason to trade a 19-year-old kid or a 20-year-old kid for Louis Erickson, who was already injury prone in Dallas. Mind you, the production when he was on the ice, crazy. And he was only a second line player in Dallas. He then came here, was a second line player for us. He wasn't physical. That was another knock they had on Sagan, that Sagan wasn't physical. But he didn't really have to be because of the line he was on and the defense pairing he played with. So he didn't really have to go dig in the corners or like he didn't really have to go fight in front of the net. Like he could freely play offense. And I think that's what the system is missing, where like the difference between Bruce Cassidy and Montgomery and Sacco is at least one thing I can say about Claude Julien is he let the guys play freely. Like they put Chara in front of the net, and they had who was on that? Like they had Bergeron or somebody else, or was Krejci playing up top in the 5v5 in the zone. Like that's just like freedom of thought. That's creativity. Whereas like we're so predictable now, kind of like those other teams of like at post 2011, like we just became a predictable team. And I feel like that's why we also lost to the Blackhawks. We came up short against the Blackhawks. We came up. I can't say we came up short against St. Louis because we got robbed.
Oh
Because
my god.
Achari
Low
got
key, yeah.
Achari got slew-footed in front of the ref, and they didn't call it. Like literally right in
That
front of the
that
ref in the
series,
left corner.
that
Like I don't know
series is
how
so
you
good.
missed that call, but like we that's all that was also like offensive creativity was a little bit of an issue, and then obviously we saw the pandemic happen, so that you know what I mean. Pasta got robbed of a 60-goal season, like you know what I mean. So like
Yeah.
it's been there, but I feel like the consistency of like how can we keep the creativity
We
within
just
the organ.
can't we just don't have the like what you're saying, the consistency. We just can't like stay consistent enough to like finish the job, you know what I mean?
Even
Like
that Florida series, what were we up
that
3-1?
yeah, I was about to say like those two well, I don't think last year's really count. No.
Nah, I don't even count
When
last.
we were
Last
up
year we
3-1,
overachieved.
when we were up three to
Overachieved.
one, when we were up 3-1, we should have like ended that in 5. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Even
And my dad,
6.
and I think I told you this. My dad says only reason why we choked was we added Bergeron back in the lineup because
Yep.
Bergeron was out and we were winning games when he was out. We brought him back in and we lost the rest.
Yep. And that's because it's when you it's that's the reason why I said Bertuzzi and Boquist and those guys shouldn't have left because in the absence of Bergeron, those three guys stepped up. Especially
Yes,
Boquist. Boquist had
absolutely.
that assist to Beecher in that game that Bergeron was out. I'm pretty sure.
That
So
Boquist
Uh,
Beecher Lauko line was so good.
yeah, and Lauko, that's another player. Like, why? What? Like, why? What?
I
Like,
just
I
hope the
want to
guy with
know.
Johnson is okay.
And this is, we're already into the next segment, which is like, what is the front office doing? That was going to be the next segment, like the front office. So we pretty much already blasted through that. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like, I feel
yep.
like Sweeney, like, he needs to somehow get just a player with some sort of creativity. Like I was suggesting to you guys, like Leo Carlson, and I know he's young and he was a first round pick for Anaheim, but and Zegras is like always a name that's linked to us. And to be honest with you, I don't think Zegras is small. He's not a physical player, so he doesn't fit the mold. So what is he going to do? Fly around on the line with Pastrnak, who's also not too much of a physical player himself? Like yes, Pasta will go in the corner, he'll dig. Like he's pretty physical enough to that point, but he's not going to go out and be a wrecking crew guy. Like he's not going to go out and just hit people. He needs to save his energy for offense. I feel like yes, Zegras would take the weight, but like Leo Carlson would tremendously take the weight off somewhat of the physicality. He's a little bit bigger. That overtime goal he scored this year before he got hurt was insane. Like forecheck the crap. I forget who they were playing. It was like Minnesota or Vegas or something. And like he just forechecked the crap out of them and it was like a 3v3 or something in overtime. And he like was just relentlessly forechecking. Like the puck could not get out of the zone. And like I've seen him in other games where like his offensive skill translates like to his physicality. And I feel like we just don't even have like a guy like that. Like the last guy we had like that, Bergeron and Krejci. Those are the last two
Yeah.
guys who had physicality to their game, and they could go out. They could give you a goal. They're always in the right spot. They could even they were mainly passers, playmakers, but Bergeron and Krejci are underrated scorers, and I feel like we haven't. We're missing that. Like we're just missing a guy who is just a jack of all trades, kind of. We just don't have a center like that on our team, and I feel like if we get one guy like that, that just creates depth. Then Lindholm could, God forbid, I know this is gonna sound nuts, but like Lindholm could go to the third line because Zaka would be the second line center if we actually got a guy in the middle who could actually play. So he would go to the second line, and then you'd probably put Lindholm on the third line, and then where like Coyle would have to get moved, he'd probably have to play winger, which he can. He can play right wing. So I don't know. I feel like there's a lot that the front office has to decide as far as this offseason as like what we want our identity to be. And I feel like if we just don't get a guy that can just move the puck or get a guy that can just like change the game other than Pastrnak, like it's just looking like we're gonna waste Pastrnak and Swayman's careers. And McAvoy too. Because McAvoy should have
Yeah,
a
Matt
Norris at
Corson,
this.
yep.
He
And
should have
Swayman.
yep, and Swayman should have a Vezina by next year. He should win it. We should put ourselves in a position where Swayman is going to be motivated. We need to put players in a position where Pastrnak, he's going to be motivated. Like Marchand's 36, he's on his way out the door in like a year or two. Like
He's been playing
realistically,
good.
he has,
He's
but the
been
thing is,
playing
you
good.
can
But
tell
I know what you're saying. Like, I know
he's
what you
lost
mean.
a step. He's not as good
Yeah,
of a skater. He's
he's not
lost a
the
step.
same as he's not the same from like what he was back when we won the cup. Obviously not. But
Right.
he's been playing pretty good. I think he's been stepping up a lot recently. But yet again, he's 36 years old, and like I don't know. I just think he's been playing pretty good. Go on, sorry.
He's been
But
adjusting
yeah,
his play. He's been adjusting his play for sure.
1,000%.
He's a lot slow. He's gonna be a lot slower. He's 36. I'm not. That's not incredibly concerning. He's adapted to a point where where his production's been ramping up
He knows
quickly. I
his
believe
limits.
he's
He
top
knows
three
his
in
limits.
team production wise. Um,
Right.
regarding Pastrnak,
Oh yeah,
um,
speaking of which, so the next segment we're gonna do a would you rather. So it's about David Pastrnak. So before we get into the would you rather though, like I want to hear your thoughts on like what we should provide for Pastrnak, McAvoy, and Swayman as far as like going forward in the future.
well, regarding David Pastrnak,
Mm-hmm.
his rush game has just completely dwindled from the last two seasons. Um, one of the
Yep.
best players on the rush in 23 and in 24, and it's really no surprise. That's a massive aid for any high level player, any elite talent in this league. And there was a reason he scored 61 and 23. There's a reason he was just shy of 50 last year, without
Yep.
Bergeron, without Krejci, and without Bergeron.
Yep.
And
Yep.
there's a reason that he is not producing well this year. And
Mm-hmm.
I think it's externally related. He's significantly slower. His agility is clearly taking a hit. He still plays with the same control and the same pace he always has. But in terms of high end speed, it's definitely that there's some reflection that he's lost speed, and that's abnormal for a player at his age and at his development in his career. And what I think I speculate it's injury related. I that's been somewhat of a
Really?
concern. Yes. I this is something I can explain a bit more detail. I would like to gather some
Please do.
clips and kind of devolve into some of the more intricate details why I believe that. But
Mm-hmm.
that is something that I seriously consider as a possibility. He's definitely not aided by his teammates. That's for sure. His line mates
Right.
have definitely not aided him in any sense in terms of offensive output and in ensuing production because I'm trying to. I believe his most common line mate is Geeky or Saka, maybe Martian. It's one of those three. I'm very confident it's one of the, I'd be shocked if it's not one of those three.
Right.
Oh, maybe Lindholm too.
Definitely.
Those
Definitely.
those are the guys he's playing in with day in and day out.
Definitely Martian for sure.
Definitely Martian. Okay, I
Yeah.
could see that. I haven't familiarized myself with the exact numbers yet, but regarding time on ice pairs, but regardless, they're the guys around him struggle to transport the puck. That's one issue.
Yep.
That they especially in the defensive zone. And one reason he was so successful on the rush in previous seasons is so if he doesn't have if he does really have some sort of lingering issue or injury that's already slowing down his individual speed, which in comparison to previous seasons is going to hamper his ability to exact ideal outcomes of specific situations.
Right.
But it's hard for him to even gain those situations when his line mates are playing at the level they are. When you look at the Bruins last year and how effective they were on the zone exit. Pastrnak himself's a below average player in terms of defensive zone exits, but his line
Right.
mates were the players he shared the ice with the most were among those the better. So he's getting the puck out of the defensive zone with space, can generate speed, and he's creating quality situations for him to make a pass off the rush from the middle or to converge to the middle and create a play there. Use one of his teammates as a screen or a pick. That's something that he had available. He does not have that this year. His line mates are slower than a slower version of himself.
Yeah.
And the Bruins have put so much. They are overly reliant on his ability to produce. His finishing reflects. It's isomorphic to the team's
Good
output.
word.
It's no
That's
secret
a
their
huge ass word.
their
What the
5v5
hell?
output is so much significantly worse
I love
than
his
in previous.
vocabulary. He's got awesome vocabulary.
Yeah,
But yeah, keep
no.
going.
No.
But
But yeah,
yeah, dude, keep going.
yeah,
That's what we're looking for on the show. Like the analytics, like you're so into the analytics and like the percentiles. Like that's what's gonna really tell us like how important some of these guys are and like who can be traded and like who can be moved or who should go with what player. Like that's why it's important for us to have that for sure.
yeah.
Oh, and I have a
It's
question.
just data. That's just it. Eye test is a part of a fast wealth of data. The analytics
Hmm.
help to account for some of the human error in studying the game, and that's why I love analytics so much. There's a certain beauty in intertwining those.
Yeah,
Which
it's
the
fun. I have a
perfect
question for
segue.
you.
Hold on. The perfect segue before we do this, right? We got the Would You Rather edition. First of all, before I say this, I want to say shout out to Pick a Side podcast. My boys down in Jersey. Riv, Dels, Tortorelli, Joel, Andrew. Like, bro, this is like a good segment for us because David Pastrnak, like, he's in talks with like top five guys all the time. He's constantly put in the breath of like top five. So I want to see where you guys think that he ranks. So,
You're
would
gonna
you
have to
rather
say, or are you
David
gonna?
Pastrnak edition? Actually, Owen, can you pull up the notes so we can, if you have the notes ready to go, you just pull up the notes so you can read them off. See if I get the names right. Um, First up though, Kirill Kaprizov. And why? You got to explain why you would rather have either Pastrnak or X player. So you can't just say whatever. You got to explain why.
Krill's been having a great season, and I've always loved Krill. I always wish that we drafted him because we had a huge chance. We just blew that away. But like, just think of this because before we get into this, just think of this line: Pasta, whoever's our first line center, and then Kaprizov.
That
That
would be
is
crazy.
that'd be dangerous. That'd be
That would be
dangerous.
nuts.
What do
That's
you
gonna
think, Owen?
happen regardless.
Pasta or Kaprizov? And you're the percentile guy, so this
Yeah.
might be in. This is like your segment. Like,
Yeah. Kaprizov or Pastrnak. As of now, I don't think there is any debate. It's Kirill Kaprizov. I would
okay.
be shocked. I would be shocked if either of you two disagree. I'd be shocked if even 30% of viewers disagree with that. Just based off the season alone, off the last 3 seasons, it's a lot closer. I may still take Kaprizov. That's a little inconclusive for this season. Absolutely Kaprizov. The when you look at Minnesota,
They're a fun
the
team, bro.
differences
They're a
in the
very fun
output that
team.
their top six has compared to their bottom six is tremendously different.
Yep.
Kaprizov is the engine of the team's offense,
Right.
and he's allowed to express himself nicely in a otherwise pretty restrictive John Hines system,
Right.
which um,
Yeah. Very defensive predicated team.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
If you look at the other fourth line plays, it's pure puck management.
Yep,
Dump.
1,000%.
They're playing the dump. They have a quality forecheck. They spend a decent bit of time in their D zone, but not so much. And
Not as
so
much as us,
they're,
bro.
yeah, they're drowning the play. Their bottom six drowning play. So when you have the top guys come out like Kaprizov and Boldy, Kaprizov, he's constantly buzzing. He's constantly on the puck. And his
Yeah.
Sonek, if I remember correctly, Sonek's numbers are actually quite solid as well. And so the play is centering around him when he's on the ice, and that's what the Bruins don't have with David Pastrnak right now.
Right.
Pastrnak simply cannot. Whether injury, teammates
Yeah.
both need, or another issue I haven't thought of yet. There there's a lack of play driving from Pastrnak we haven't seen. Kirill Kaprizov so provides that, and Kaprizov is not only making it easier for him to produce, making it easier for his teammates to produce. In comparison to Pastrnak, and Kirill Kaprizov is putting up some of the best numbers in all of hockey this year, and he's a
Yeah.
huge reason the Minnesota Wild are a top 5 team in the league this year. Compare that to the Bruins, who are struggling to maintain 500. It's quite lucky how bad the Atlantic Division is. Let's be completely honest. They're
Yeah.
lucky
True.
that the Atlantic Division is as terrible as it is because they are
True.
not a top. They would otherwise not be a top 3 team in the division. They
Close as
currently don't
bad as the
play as
Metro.
they're one of the worst top. They're probably the worst top 3 division team right now, or the worst team
For
that's not in a wild card spot. That's still in the playoffs. So I would say overall, and then the main reason is I think the superstars. Also coaching, obviously. John Hines has well outdone himself, and Kirill Kaprizov has shown he can improve the play of absolutely anybody. He was on an insane run at the end of last season, almost willed that team to a playoff. Willed a team that was just injured the whole season to the playoffs. When he came back
He
on his own,
did. Yep.
and
He
this
did.
year, it's a bit more of the same. I think the reason they're so successful is he's actually getting more help from his teammate, but he's also inducing that as well.
Right. 1,000%. That
Well
was
said.
awesome. That was awesome. So, all right,
Yeah,
next name up, Artemi Panarin.
Pasta.
Why?
Pastor Panarin.
Y'all might
I
hate me,
think.
but why?
Well,
Why?
hold on. I
You go
think both
first.
have been. Yeah, I'll go first. I think both have been having struggling seasons, honestly, because the Rangers have not been looking good. Neither have us. As the star players should be, like Pasta's our guy, Panarin's their guy. You expect a lot from them, but yet again, if they don't have the right playmakers to like help them out, then they can't like what's the word? They can't contribute. Something like
Panarin
that.
is a playmaker, though.
That's
He
the thing.
is, yes.
That's
He
the
has
key.
no finishers though. I think that whole team. I think that whole team is all playmakers.
Okay. No. I feel like the Rangers' power plays, like, we've seen, okay, barring this year, we saw what that power play looked like last year. That shit was
And that
crazy.
was disgusting.
Let's
But I'm
be
talking about
real.
this year.
That Rangers offense was crazy, and he was the driving force of that. Now this year, you can
This
see
year it's just falling off.
Kreider is kind of showing his age. They traded
Their
Truba
coach is
because
on the hot seat now.
But he's on the hot seat because player. I feel like that's an aging
He
team.
has,
You
he
have
has the
Shesterkin in
Rangers.
goal. You have Shesterkin in goal, right? And you've gotten this far off
I
of an
think
aging.
I think Igor got overpaid, by the way.
Oh, why? Whoa, okay, wait. We can wait. We'll dive into that in a hot. We'll dive into that into a hot second. But like,
Alright.
it, I feel like I'm gonna take Panarin. Like, I personally am gonna take Panarin because he is not only a threat to pass, he's a threat to score, and the,
He's a
the
good
eye
two-way
test
forward.
will tell you he has better hands than Pastrnak. 1,000% has better hands than
For sure.
Pastrnak.
Pasta gives the puck away a lot, though.
So you
But
put him on this team. You replace him and Pastrnak. realistically, how many guys does he set up and make look better? Realistically, based off of his playmaking ability. Because Pasta
Can I be
cannot
honest?
seem to
Can
do
I be honest? I think he only affects like 3 players.
like
I don't
if you put Panarin on a line with Zaka and Marchand,
well,
you
obviously they'd
don't.
be better than the pasta. Obvious, I think so. But
I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
no, I
That's
know.
tough.
But like,
That's tough.
It's a
but
tough one because it's like you either have to like the pure goal scorer or you have to like a guy who could do both. And
yeah,
Panarin can
but
do both.
listen, if he can do both, right? If he can't set anyone up because the players aren't good enough, then what do you want him to do? Just keep scoring?
But he's a better stick handler and he's a better skater than Pastrnak.
Well,
So
yeah,
that
because
open
Pasta just holds on to the puck for like ever and then loses it.
Pasta, if you look at the way he skates, like his edge work, the way he turns and edges is not the same as some of these other superstars. Like if we're talking about some of these guys are like Panarin, McKinnon, McDavid, Kaprizov. Like he's not
McDavid's
as good
having
of a
a season.
skater. He's
Skating wise,
not
crazy.
he's not as good of a skater as these guys. Like I know that Pastrnak is so talented. I know that he has the pure goal, but his game is more like an Ovechkin. Whereas like a lot of these other guys are more like a Crosby, if that makes sense. Because if
Yeah,
Crosby decided that he wanted to score and solely score for his whole career, he'd probably break Gretzky's record, right? But he has such a gift of seeing the game, and Crosby has always been. I'm not gonna lie to you. Crosby might be the best skater I've ever seen in my life. He might
yeah.
be. He just might be. And I know
I
we've
still
seen
take McDavid.
McDavid's, but he's end to end speed way much better. Whereas Crosby, tight places around the net, like I've never seen someone work around the net other than Gretzky like
I have a
Crosby.
would you rather
Yeah,
for
I
you
suppose you could
once
say
you're done.
this.
So like that's why I would take Panarin because like he's a better skater objectively. He might not be as fast as Pastrnak, I'll give you that. He's not as fast as Pastrnak, but his edge work and the way he can find guys and create space and attract two guys to him to create a pass, like I don't think Pasta like we've seen that's not really in his game. When Pasta's one on one with guys, he's beautiful. But
Yeah.
the moment he goes
The
outside and
minute he
goes,
gets 1-on-2, he's screwed.
that's it. Once he gets two on, that's it. Like he'll either
Yeah.
lose it or he'll turn it
I have
over.
a would you rather for you.
Okay.
All right. Would you rather pasta or Draisaitl?
Draisaitl without a question.
Yeah.
Right
I
now,
would.
Draisaitl without a
Right
question.
now, Draisaitl. But like
But
when pasta was like actually like playing like the pasta we know, who would you take?
I'm
last
gonna
3
take.
seasons. Oh, my bad.
I'm gonna take Drysaitel because we've seen what Drysaitel is without McDavid,
He's
and he's
insane.
nasty. He's nasty. Like
He's
we're
disgusting.
seeing what Pastrnak is without certain players around him, and I feel like that's why like I wanted to do a would you
Pasta just
rather
needs
because
the
like
support, and that's Sweeney's fault that he hasn't gotten that support at all. So what can
so
you do?
the next name, this one's gonna be a little controversial.
I'll let Owen answer this one then.
Matty Kachuk.
Matty
Ooh.
Kachuk? All
Yeah,
right.
Matty. Matty.
Last 3 seasons. And there's kind of a whole reason I look at it
Like
at
right
the
now,
one season level.
at this moment while we're filming, like who are you gonna take? Like forget the last 2 seasons. Like who are you going to take right now?
Just this season, I don't think it's close. And that's a lot of the players we discussed so far. It's not particularly close with anyone. It's Kachuk. I mean,
Okay.
simply put, it's Matthew Kachuk.
Okay. All right.
Kachuk's been by far the more complete player. And he's provided more value in every area of the ice. I
I
actually
agree.
think it's
Yeah.
for the record, I actually think the Panthers have given up quite a bit more goals with Kachuk on the ice than the Bruins have with Pastrnak. But I believe that's a goaltending issue from the Panthers from what I've gathered from watching and from some of the numbers I have. I think um with when looking at Kachuk and Pastrnak specifically on the offensive side because Kachuk's provided more consistent defensive value, but Pastrnak has some has some good defensive moments for sure. Kachuk just contributes more in a better system. That's really it. He contributes more in a system that's built for him, Paul Maurice, and so not necessarily the fault of Pastrnak, but no, but I don't think that that's also discrediting Kachuk either. So that's the basis why I choose Kachuk over Pastrnak right now.
I agree with you. Friso, what do you
Maybe
think?
also, I'd probably go to Chuck too. Honestly, I like him. I've liked him since Calgary.
Uh-huh.
I like the way he plays. You hate to go against him, but you love him on your team. Honestly, that
Yep.
guy is just like he plays like. I don't want to say he plays like his brother, but he gets into players' heads just like his brother. You know what I mean?
Yep. Yeah, 1,000%.
Yeah. And like
That's actually the next name on the list.
Brady,
Brady,
really?
yeah,
Brady or Pasta. It, it could
That's
be a
crazy.
conversation this year. This year, that could be a conversation. This year,
still
Honest,
pasta, still pasta, still pasta.
I'd go
I, I'm
pasta.
I'm gonna take Pasta, but I think the gap is a little bit closer now than what people necessarily believe. I think Brady Kachuk this year he's improved as a shooter for sure. Come 1,000%.
Yes,
He's like
I
first in the
agree.
league in shooting stats right now. Like it's crazy.
Perfect. Yeah, I
But
think it's okay.
okay. I feel like I had a couple other good names on that list and I'm just not remembering.
Shane Pinto had 2 goals today. Just saying.
Actually, who was it that I had on the list? Um Shit, no, I can't remember it. I'm gonna blank. I swear I put Cole Caulfield on the list. I can't even remember.
Hold on, I
But
could check. I'm like,
Caulfield,
yeah.
that I think we also discussed Cal Connor.
Oh, that's
I
right.
don't know.
That's the one that okay,
Kyle
forget
Connor.
Caulfield. Kyle Connor or Pasta. That's a tough one. I'm not even gonna lie to you. Panarin was tough, but Connor and Pasta's. I don't know. Some people might think I'm gonna sound crazy for that, but Kyle Connor's really good, dude.
We could also drafted him.
Yeah, and we didn't. So that goes to show you
This
Exactly.
year, probably Connor. This year,
Yeah,
probably
Yeah.
Connor.
this year I'll take Kyle Connor for sure.
If you
1,000%.
go all time, I'm going
A
pasta.
lot of people are gonna laugh at us for this, but once this makes airwaves and people see it, like they might realize if they start watching,
No,
like
it's the
Kyle
truth,
Connor.
though.
Kyle Connor's legit. He's got top five talent.
Yeah, well, Connor's
Damn,
Connor's come
Senators beat
around a
the
little
Kings
bit
2-0.
with Arniel, at least to start the year. One of the few
Uh-huh.
Jets that's played consistently at 5v5 play. Power play's never been a problem for Winnipeg, honestly. So
Right.
Connor's going to produce. If Connor's producing more and more situations, and in terms of defensive impact, he's definitely improved from last season's.
Right.
I forgot to mention this earlier, and I'm really glad that Kyle Connor that mentioning Kyle Connor helped me remember this. But another Pasternak's production overall is down. His 5v5 production is down, but what's really down is his power play production. It's basically gone.
Yes,
The Bruins have
yes,
the
yes.
31st ranked power play right now by power play percentage, and or
Lack of
32nd.
And
creativity.
and I think
There's no creativity, correct?
wasn't the last 2 years our power play was like top 5, top 10?
Ish, yeah, ish.
Ish.
Yeah,
It was more like
ish.
just outside top 10, I think.
We'll say
If I
like
remember
top
correctly.
top 15.
Yeah,
It
but
was
look at the
still a
decrease.
quality power play. And Pastrnak was still producing like crazy on the power play. Just the rest of the team wasn't. That's simply how it was. This year, it's not even that. I chalk that up to coaching. That's something we can talk about at some later point where that's the central focus. If I had remembered to talk about it earlier, I would have. But I did want it to at least be like brought up to an extent. That
A thousand percent. I
that's
agree.
that separates Pastrnak from a lot of the players we've talked about. Power play production. Top players are going to get opportunities on the power play. They know how to manipulate and how to capitalize on the space they get from being on the power play.
Right.
They have power play systems built around them effectively. I don't think Pastrnak does in the same way as the players we discussed, like Panarin and Kyle Connor. That's
Right.
another reason Pasternak's production has been so low, and that's another reason why we're picking so many players above Pastrnak this season. Where typically, I believe that most of us, we're all Bruins fans. We all see Pastrnak more than any other talent in the league. I
Right.
believe so anyway. So we would be very inclined to pick Pastrnak, but I
Right.
think I think our deviation from that is a suggestion that that there's some level of understanding that he's being afflicted to such an extreme degree that we can more fairly assess these other talents. And then but with this play the last 2 years, we would have said Pastrnak without a thought.
Oh, for
If
sure.
we had done this episode at any time in 23 or in 24.
Yep, 1,000%. I agree. And that a lot of these guys are also like not a lot of them, but a couple of these guys are contenders. So you know what I mean. I got one more name on the list. Last name on the list for me, that I can remember off the top of my head right now. It's a Martin Necas. Like, dude, he's coming to his
No.
shell this year. He,
Wait. Hold on. Can we like reverse it and do someone else?
why? Necas is a controversial name the way he's playing this year.
I'm thinking about Aho.
What? Necas is playing better than Aho this year.
Ooh.
Necas is literally like third, bro. He's like top five in almost damn near every stat.
I
Like,
don't know. Neither of them showed up tonight. They got shut out 3-0 to the Sens.
yeah, but who did Olmark play in that tonight?
Yeah, he did.
Okay, so the duh.
That's how it's figured.
Duh. That's probably why they got. Okay, but
Yeah.
you're right. So I guess to touch on that just a tiny bit before we get into like obviously the yes or no, like or the one or the other. But like the Carolina's problem this year has been goaltending, which wasn't really a problem with them before. It's just like oddly been a problem with them this year. And
What happened to Freddie
Aho,
Anderson?
I think he got traded or
Did
he's
he?
hurt. Like I don't like
Elway?
because who have they've had some other dude in net all year. I'm pretty sure.
Cooch something. It's Cooch something.
Like I don't think Anderson's healthy, or he might have gotten traded. One or the
No,
other. I
he's
honestly,
there. He's just never healthy.
yeah, I think he's like hurt. Like because
Dude,
I
I
haven't
remember
seen him in the
I
past two
remember
weeks.
when Freddie Anderson blew up, like, was so good against the Bruins.
Hurricanes
Oh,
have had
bro,
awful goaltending this year, but they've had
the
ton of injuries. I think
Yeah.
they've
yeah,
had they've had Kochekov and Dustin Tokarski. Man, he's been around forever. Tokarski.
yes, Svechnikov was hurt for a little bit. Um, then why am I blank? Well, they don't have Teravainen anymore, so that doesn't help. That's why Natchez has stepped up a ton because Teravainen left, went to Chicago,
You're right. Yes, you're right.
and
So
like
was
that's it.
Roslovic.
Yeah, and Roslovic was hurt for a little bit, but he just came back like I think like last week or something from an injury before that. So like Roslovic's back, and Roslovic actually has been playing pretty well the last couple games I've watched. Even though that for betting purposes, like he has sold me, and the fucking the Carolina Hurricanes have sold me, and even the Florida Panthers have sold me. That's why I'm thinking about that. But like I think Natchez should enter the conversation of top 10. I'm not sure if he was in it before last year. That might just be me because like I really only watch like the Bruins, Maple Leafs, and like a couple other West Coast teams just for the fuck of it, and then like a couple stars who are like young or like the other stars like I'll catch certain games. But like I don't think Natchez was in even the top 7, 8 conversation last year. And now he's entered top five stat wise.
Yeah,
But
you're
like,
right.
so who do we even take like at this point in the juncture? Like if we put Natchez on the team instead of Pasta, like how does this team look? I personally am taking. I'll take Pasta. I'm not going to be a dickhead.
No need. No, don't need. But here's the thing. This is a
I'll
really
take Pasta still, but
You see, this is a really important concept. Is we're talking about such a short sample here. We're less assessing the players at an individual level. We're more assessing their form that they've put up
I feel
this
like
season, which
what
that's just not really a
would you
problem.
rather? Would you rather is more predicated on like how much value does this person add to the team over somebody else? That's
Yeah,
pretty much what would you rather is. You
yeah.
know?
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
it's the adjusting the time frame changes the response that someone may give because we know what Pasternak's capable. We know what he's put up, and he's putting pretty much career worst numbers in a poor environment for him. He maybe there is some reasonable suggestion he's dealing with an injury. And also players. Any player has production issues at some point in their career. Some point in what would otherwise be the prime of their career. One of the players we discussed, Kirill Kaprizov, had that at the start of last season too, and he finished off the season top 3 in the entire league production wise,
I'll
at
be right back.
least
Give me
the
two
top
seconds.
4.
Go on,
Um,
Owen. I'm listening.
so, um, like this is it's very contingent. That's just the nature of using this season as a time frame. But right now, absolutely, most of the players we discussed, the consensus is we take them over Pastrnak. At least those in the
Yeah,
top 10 discussion right now. However, and another thing, team environments. A lot of the players we discussed are in good team environments. We look Carolina. Has been a lot more stable. Minnesota's been a lot more stable. I know New York's
New
had their
York is
problems.
shaky though. New
So
York is shaky.
it's that all factors in different ways, right?
Yeah,
Or just at the end of the day,
So going off
yeah.
of that, right? So I guess going off of that, now to end the pod, pretty much. Now at this point, it's gonna be the last segment. This has been awesome, by the way. Like Owen, honestly, the one thing I feel like we should do, Owen, is like the player cards that you make. Like, don't that's gonna be huge. Like, we'll figure out how to
Yeah,
incorporate
that'll be
that. Like,
helpful.
but
yeah.
that like if I can at least get the graphic from you, then I can like put the graphics up. So basically, long story short, after what you just said, like that was a beautiful segue into like now, like I'm doing like my early MVP picks, and like you guys saw the list of the MVPs I have. Right now, I'll be real with you. My number one pick for MVP, I'm gonna go Nathan McKinnon. Um, I know like Risto likes to say I'm a Nathan McKinnon glazer, but like I honestly don't think that the gap between McDavid and McKinnon is as big as people think. And like McKinnon is on a team where they've been banged up. They just traded away Georgiev for I mean he's been playing shit, but like I don't know. I didn't really see a reason to trade him for Blackwood. That just made
The
for him for
Sharks won
Mackenzie
that trade, by
Blackwood.
the way.
I that thank
Just
you.
saying the Sharks won
That's
that trade.
Kovalenko, hey, I will say Kovalenko was a nice addition, and Blackwood has a better probability of performing with Colorado than Georgiev does on both Colorado and or on
Can
Colorado
I say
or on
my
San Jose.
opinion?
I think San Jose won the trade because now that you look like since the trade, who did they just beat the other night? Actually, like
Huh?
The
Uh,
Sharks low key are winning games. So like that's
Yeah,
why I think the Sharks won the trade because now you like now
yeah. Well,
Blackwood's in
I
net.
think, like I said,
Sharks
getting
beat the
Kovalenko was a
Blues
nice pickup.
4-3.
They what?
Can I say they beat the Blues 4-3? I
Yeah,
think that
and the
trade.
Blues are a decently good team.
Yeah,
So like the
I think
Sharks,
that
no one
trade was
saw,
supposed to get one of their prospect goalies up and going. I forgot his name. He came from Nashville.
but the Sharks are almost
Askarov, right?
500. No one, I don't think anybody thought the Sharks were almost going to be almost
Wait.
500.
Amari.
Huh.
I think that trade was to get Askarov some more minutes. I think that's my opinion.
Why would they do that?
So he could develop.
But how old is he?
I think he's young, right, Owen?
Askarov's the best goaltending prospect right now.
Yeah,
He's
So
been for
you
a
think
while.
so you think that they did like I like
they did that so he could develop more and get more NHL minutes.
I guess if that's the reasoning,
That's a possibility.
yeah, right. Like we're obviously speculating, but if that's the reason, okay, fine. And if McKinnon is playing with that, and also the rotation of injuries, and then not even just that, who just came back from the player or whatever it is because of substance abuse? The Nichushkin?
Valery Nichushkin, yeah.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
he was iffy, at least a little during the beginning of the season. Rantanen, obviously, you know what I mean? Like, okay, like he's a dog. Rantanen's a dog. Makar's a dog. Like, all right, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, but I feel like with what he's been given, like he's just producing no matter what's been on the ice every single night. And like you could say the same about Natchez actually. So my top three are McKinnon, Natchez. Actually, I'd go McKinnon. I'd go Kaprizov because his team is in first place. You can't put him you can't put him any lower than one or two. Kaprizov has to be one or two,
Yeah.
considering they missed the playoffs last year. Now the way that he's playing, they're literally first in the league. Like that's what you look for in an MVP in any sport. And this sport is also a sport where
He's their captain,
the
right?
MVP actually matters. They have an MVP that the players vote for, and then an MVP that's just like, all right, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. And
So
that's the beauty. That's a
it
beauty for sure.
matters. And like I feel like teams would like players would look at that like, okay, Minnesota's actually winning games. Like Kaprizov has to be one or two. And then I feel like players would look at, okay, like given what McKinnon's been given every night, like he kind of has to just step up to the plate. And that's why I think they're number one and two, and then I'm putting Natchez third, just because I don't think anybody expected Natchez to be a top five player this year. I think everybody
Yeah.
thought top 5 to 12, maybe 5 to 15, or if we're being like, I guess a little less generous, like 7 to 15, he was in that range, and now he's leaped to like top five. So I feel like those three are my top three. Like if you guys got three guys, like give me your three guys who you guys think are the
Can I
MVP
go?
picks.
Can I go?
Yeah, you
Yes,
go.
sir. Yes, sir.
All right. Number one, Kaprizov.
Okay, I like that.
2, McKinnon.
Okay.
3, McDavid.
Big D, all right.
You wouldn't put Cole Caulfield before McDavid?
I think he's too young.
You take Cole Caulfield off that team, it just looks so different.
That's true.
Like if you
Yeah,
if
but
you
that team's
look,
gonna be listen. That team's gonna be crazy in a few years.
yeah, because they got Lane Hudson, they got him, they got who's
They
the
also got
goalie?
another.
They got a goalie, don't they? They
He's
have a
alright.
goalie prospect who's supposed to be pretty good.
Montgomery.
Maybe I don't know how great of a prospect I would attribute him to be, but
I might be mistaken. I might be thinking of
I
another
think
team.
you are.
But I feel like there's a goalie I feel like the Canadians had in their farm system, or just that was a prospect that's supposed to be
you're
like
talking about
a
Peyton Primo. You're talking about Primo, right?
maybe.
Primo. Yeah, they lost 9-2 last game.
They lost what?
9-2
9-2.
Yeah, last
to the
night to
Pens.
Pittsburgh. They gave up 6 in the third.
Oh my God!
Yeah.
There's no way. Yeah, it can't be. It can't be Montreal. There's no way. Yeah,
Former Bruin Matt Grishlik, I think, had a assist or two too. So shout out to
Former Bruin
former
Nolan
Bruin
Charlie
legend Matt
scored the
Grishlik.
9th goal.
well, actually, I'm glad we got rid of Grizzlick though, because
I
like
am too. Don't worry.
I am
he, he
too.
he couldn't play defense for shit. So he like
Yeah.
offensively he was really good. He had crazy hands and he was good on the rush, but like he just was no other use other than that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Well,
anyways, back to your
injuries
top.
took
So
away
like,
his
what's
career.
your why? So can you explain your top three before we go to Owen? Why is McDavid third more so? Because we already got the first two. Why is McDavid third?
Well, obviously, it's Connor McDavid. No, I'm kidding. Because Connor McDavid is, I think, in my opinion, probably a Hall of Fame player. One of the best out of this generation. He is, does he deserve a cup? Absolutely. But the way he just plays just evolved hockey. Like, before McDavid, it wasn't like what we're used to now. It's much more faster, more skilled, and like better shooting and better skating. I think McDavid evolved the sport. That's what I'm thinking.
So if like, even though he doesn't have the
I'm just saying
championships,
because I like McDavid. I'm just saying that because I like
would
him.
we say McDavid is Steph Curry? Because he changed the game. Even though he don't got four
Yeah.
rings, he don't got four rings. He don't got like,
Who
you know
would
what I
you
mean?
compare him to the NBA? Yeah,
Steph.
but it has to be a no-ring player.
Okay,
Russ. Russ.
no, no,
No. Because Russ is declining. Never mind.
not even that. That doesn't even matter because Russ is getting old. His game is predicated on athleticism. He's getting old. Whereas like Russ, we already knew what Russ was before he became an MVP. Everyone knew Russ was going to become at some point in time the best point guard in the league. Like it wasn't like McDavid where like he was a teenage phenom since like 15, 16. Like he was literally called the next Gretzky as a teenager. Like I compare
Yeah,
it's Crosby is more like if you think about it, right? Like Dwayne Wade is like Ovechkin. Crosby
absolutely.
is like LeBron. Like they
LeBron,
came in
yeah.
the same draft. Like Ovechkin had to do a little bit more by himself to win a championship, like D Wade did. You know what I mean? Like LeBron kind of had to like I'm not gonna say
But do you
obviously
like
McDavid didn't
but do
go
you like my
anywhere, but like
reasoning though?
he's been at the top of the sport. Think about it. LeBron James has been the best player in basketball since he was
Yeah,
18 years old.
yeah.
18 years old. Like McDavid has been the best player in hockey since he was 19 years old.
Do you like
Yep.
my reasoning though?
So my reason, I would say Crosby's the greatest player I've ever seen. I just grew up
Yes.
on Crosby. I grew up on Crosby. Crosby, he had at one point, like when he got the concussions the first year, he got the bad concussions. Dude, he had 60 points at one point, and it took like 30 something games or like a ridiculous amount of games, and he was still the first player in the league in points. Like I don't think in any other sport I've seen something like that where like he missed almost half the year and he was still number one in points and like all these other stats for like a long time. And that's why I realized like that's what real dominance has looked like since like we have had like Tom Brady, right? Tom Brady was dominating the NFL before Crosby was even a thought in his parents' whatever. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
before he was even a thought for his parents conceiving him, Tom Brady probably would like not conceiving, but before they ever thought Crosby was going to probably be the greatest hockey player we've ever seen, other than
Yeah.
Gretzky. I'm pretty sure they didn't think that until it got to a point where he got to a certain age. Whereas like McDavid, they knew when the kid was 14, 15, like shit, this kid's gonna be the next. They were calling him the LeBron James of hockey before he even.
He lived up to it technically, but like he has to win a ring in order to like
I can say
solidify
it.
it.
That's why I say he's like LeBron because he's lived up to the individual part, right? Like
He just has to like finish it off.
there, like LeBron, it didn't take him
Like
until
what Obi did. Like what Obi did. He won himself the
it took
ring.
LeBron. It took LeBron 10 years to win a championship. Think about it that way, right? Like he was the
There
best
you
player
go.
in the league, but he had a shit team for like years before that. I wouldn't say McDavid had a shit team, but before Draisaitl became what he was, Nugent Hopkins was actually the face of the franchise before McDavid even came along. Nugent Hopkins was supposed to
Yeah.
be that before him. Nugent Hopkins didn't end up being McDavid. McDavid ended up being McDavid. So they had already had a guy who they thought was going to be perfect. Like that was supposed to be the best. That's why like I would compare if we're talking about McDavid now, like he's a little bit more like he started his career off as like LeBron, but like it's trending towards like the Steph Curry shit. Like he's changing the game, right? Like it took a Nathan McKinnon for people to be like, oh shit, like there's now someone that can actually be close to that. That's what Curry
Yeah.
basically did with Braun. Like, oh shit, this little nigga is nasty. Like 6'3", shooting threes, crossing niggas, boom, like all day. Like no one really saw that coming. And I don't the same way I think
Exactly.
everyone thought Nathan McKinnon was going to be good, but I don't think they thought Nathan McKinnon was going to be this good. And he already has a cup. So that's why I'd say like it's
Oh,
different with
that's
hockey.
right. Wow. I
You
completely
feel
forgot about that one.
you feel me? And everyone says, "Oh,
Yeah.
because he had Cale McCarr." Where it's like,
Yeah.
okay, well then you can say McDavid has had Draisaitl his whole career, and then
But
what do
they
we do?
haven't won anything.
Also, let me clarify. One thing.
And he
McCarr
had Zach
without
Hyman.
McKinnon.
He had Zach Hyman. Zach Hyman scored 50 goals. Let's not forget that for a second. Like the whole
Happens.
narrative that McDavid doesn't have help or hasn't had help, like
It's just
I'm
not
not buying. I'm
entirely
not
true.
buying that. Like I'm not buying that. And he had Taylor Hall at one point too. I'm pretty sure before Taylor Hall dipped out. So,
It
like,
wasn't very long.
that's why I think the narrative is twisted. Like, McKinnon has had help the same way McDavid has had help. He's had Nichushkin, Rantanen, we'll say Georgiev, even though he got traded, whatever, Georgiev, and he had, oh, wait, what am I saying? Nichushkin, Rantanen, Georgiev, Makar. He has McDavid, Bouchard, Hyman, Hopkins. I can't even throw Skinner in there, but Draisaitl. That's
Yeah,
I can't even throw
And you
Skinner in there
throw
because
in
like,
yeah. Let me clarify one thing though.
but go ahead.
Makar without McKinnon this season, um, has been pretty average.
Hmm.
Has been pretty average everywhere. But Makar with McKinnon is one of the best defensemen in the league. So I'm sure the Avs have no problems with how that's going right now because
Yep.
but Makar and Tays have been typically good with or without McDavid, either with and without each other, and
such a
without
good
McDavid either
defensive
way.
lineup right
So
there.
expect that to improve back to the mean for sure for Colorado. Regarding McKinnon. We did mention Amari. I did hear you mention talking about his career progression,
Oh
differing
wait,
from that
before
of.
that, before you do that, can you give me your top three first? We didn't even
Oh,
ask you
okay,
your
yeah,
top three.
yeah. Let me
How
do
rude
that.
of us.
Before I forget.
How rude of
Number
us.
one, Kirill Kaprizov. Number two, Nathan McKinnon. So not much disagreement. Number three, I'm gonna bring someone new up here. Give me Sam Reinhart, baby.
Oh, that's right. I did have him
No
on my
way.
list.
That's a good
That's
one.
right. That's a good one.
Damn.
Yeah, I got
That
to
is a
applaud you
Sam
good
for that.
one.
Reinhart, baby.
I got to
Um,
give you some
Three
applause for
now.
that one. That
he's
is a
he's He's
that's a
followed up
sneaky one.
on a tremendous season last year.
Yep.
And he's
Rhino.
doing it again. That's all I can say. He's doing it again.
Didn't he win
That
them
is
the
a
cup?
see. That's a sneaky one, bro. Because
Yeah,
Reinhardt has been balling. He's been top five too. He
Yep.
has been
he's
balling
always
for
been.
sure. He
Buffalo
has.
Sabres
Oh,
legend right there.
bro, he was balling the last 2 years in the playoffs. Like Florida, bro, that Florida team, they just like you hate to play against them because their team chemistry is so crazy, bro. You just watch them play, and everybody knows what everyone's gonna do at every given moment. Like you could tell they really put a lot of work into just like the team chemistry, the
Yeah.
continuity, like making sure that their team
Yeah.
is like always on the same page. Like honestly, the one of the most underrated players in the league for me because um we're gonna segue real quick to the actually this isn't even the last segment. I lied. We have
Oh.
early two early contender picks. Sorry, we had the early contender picks. I
For
know.
Stanley Cup?
So we'll keep this one short. Yeah, yeah, we'll keep this one short. But like Florida, just like their team, the way it's constructed, like Carter Verhaeghe is actually one of the most underrated players in the league. Like
Yes.
I think, like he's a
Evan
very good
Rodriguez is also
skater.
playing good.
Evan Rodriguez is also another guy who's very underrated. Like they have a bunch of guys that just
Yeah.
fly under the radar and just play hockey. Like Kachuk's the face, obviously, like the big bad face, like interviews, yada yada yada. I don't know if you guys watch Face Off on Amazon Prime, but Kachuk is like the most. He's got the most personality out of like all those guys, and it's kind of crazy to see because you could tell why the team is doing so well. Like they live in Florida, they're just trying to play hockey. It's fucking they're champions. Like they're just living now in like the whole. No one saw Florida coming. Like let's just be real.
No.
I don't think anybody saw them coming. And then when they beat the Bruins, like I think that was their statement. Like we are here. There's nothing that's gonna stop us. Like we're here, and like that's why like a lot of these teams are missing like continuity. That's why like my early picks for me, like I got five contenders, and I know them off the top of my head because I have it. So I got Minnesota, I got Winnipeg, I got Vegas. Um, this was a toss up for me. I wanted to say Washington, but
Wait.
I'm gonna.
Minnesota, Winnipeg. That's impossible.
What you don't think Winnipeg's a contender? They're like top five
I
in the
don't think
in the
they're a
No,
West.
contender too.
Minnesota and
I don't think
Winnipeg.
they're Winnipeg's a contender.
They're top five in the West. The West is very very hard,
No, like
and
they
that's
can't
all.
play each other in the finals.
No. I'm saying like who's just like
Oh, my fault.
contender, like off the naked eye, like who,
Oh, my fault, my
like
fault, my
what
fault.
teams are just like contenders? Like I got Minnesota, Vegas, Winnipeg, Florida. It was a toss up between Washington and Carolina.
That's tough. I'd probably go Carolina because they seem more
I put the
consistent.
Bruins for I put the Bruins for bias just because I was being a dickhead. But I
Yeah.
obviously
I'm
don't
never
believe.
putting. I'm not putting them in. They have to put it in.
But that's my five. Like I don't know if you guys have a five. Like you guys could give me a
Here's
three
mine.
if you
Ready?
guys don't have
Here's mine.
five.
Ready?
But give me a good solid five.
All
Let me
right,
see.
because I gotta go soon. Ready? I'd go. This is not in order, by the way.
Okay.
Dallas.
Mine wasn't in order, by the way.
All right. Dallas, Minnesota,
Ooh,
Winnipeg.
Dallas is a good one. I like that.
Yeah, he's a good one. The other two are gonna be Florida, obviously.
Okay.
Yeah, you are right. It is between Carolina and Washington.
It's like what based on eye test, it's one or the other.
I'd probably go. I'd probably go Carolina because they're just more consistent than Washington. But Washington, I think Washington has a great prospect pool. I know that doesn't matter right now, but like once they develop, they're gonna be really good. So
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
it's a good 50-50 between those two teams.
Okay, Owen, what do you got? What you got for us, oh? You got five good
This is
contenders for
tough.
us?
This is tough.
It is. Because
I don't have an order.
before I just want to give this stat out. So as of December 10th, I obviously today's the 13th, but as of December 10th, there were 11 teams in the East who were above 500 or 500, and there were 10 teams in the West who were 500 or above 500.
Yeah.
So it does make it tough.
Yeah, West is good this year. West is good this year. But this is probably one of the more competitive seasons in a while. I don't think there's
Hmm.
a just like last year, the separation between top level teams and mediocre teams is quite small, and we've seen some high end teams like Dallas underperform slightly,
Yep.
which worries me a little bit. Same with Vancouver. Um,
Vancouver's always like,
regardless, I don't
they look
maybe
good.
I think
They look
I'd be
legit this
comfortable
year
putting
though.
yeah. I think I'd be comfortable putting Dallas top five.
Yes,
For top five contenders, Minnesota for sure. Vegas, no doubt. Vegas. And Carolina. So Vegas, Carolina, Minnesota,
Dallas,
maybe Dallas, and last
Florida,
one is either. That
Florida.
one's tough. Have I said the
Yeah.
Panthers yet? Probably the
No,
Panthers.
no. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, so the Panthers as well. But it's very tight. I don't find I don't find it easy to identify a contender right now. It's late enough into the season where it should be, but it's been but the race has been so incredibly tight so far. I personally believe that it's not so easy to identify. And I think there's a lot of Stanley Cup contending teams that are not in Stanley Cup contending positions in the standings right now. That will change almost
Okay.
certainly, in my opinion.
I like that take. So, all right. So, can you give me like a team that you think that's like not in the race right now, like they're outside of the playoff seating, or maybe even just like in the mix for five or six? Like,
I can
give
give
me
you
a team
one,
that you
but
think's a
I can
contender.
give you one.
You said what?
I can give you one, but I'll let Owen go first because you're asking.
Yeah. So like okay. So like if you guys got one team like outside of like the actual like top five in each conference, like who do you think's actually a contender outside of that?
Um, hmm, I
It could sound
mean,
crazy, but like I don't know. The Pens look good against
Dallas
good
and
teams.
Vancouver intrigue me a lot. Dallas and Vancouver, those are the teams I'm going to be looking at all year long.
Oh, Vancouver. That's
Dallas
right.
should be top. Dallas and Vancouver should be top five in their conference, no problem.
That's right.
Um, I consider those teams underperformers right now. I think that
Hmm.
will change though. I think we'll see Dallas push for top two in their division. I think unless I mean I suppose um Winnipeg has enough of a stretch right now where they may finish above Dallas. Minnesota may fall because of injuries alone. They've lost
Right.
Brodeen and Middleton recently. They've been dealing with the second straight year they're dealing with the injury bug, which sucks because they're an extremely good team. Great, one of the deepest rosters in the league. It's no surprise they're top five, but It will surprise people when they fall a ton, which will be weird because it'll definitely be up to injury, in my opinion, unless they find a
Right.
way to sustain themselves, which would be incredible, and I think would be a testament of how much they've improved since last year. I digress
Right.
though. Dallas, Vancouver, those are the two teams for me that are underperforming, both in the West.
I'd have to go
Don't mind
Vancouver
asking.
too, for sure.
Yeah, don't mind asking about the Eastern Conference, especially the
Yeah,
Atlantic.
wide open.
Yeah,
Wide open.
don't.
Like if we're talking about the Penguins potentially going to the playoffs, like
The
wide
Bruins
open.
are top. The Bruins being top three in Division Two.
Yeah.
No,
We're like, what are we, sixth in the East? Like, and we suck. like, and we're horrible. Yeah, I like the Vancouver pick though, bro, because JT Miller's coming back. He's already back. So
also Demko came back, and they don't have
yeah,
to deal with
and
T-Lock anymore.
Demko's healthy. Like now, you guys got a healthy squad. Brandstrom's been
Markkanen's
playing great
looking
all
crazy.
year.
Quinn
Quinn
Hughes
Hughes has
is
been
doing
playing
Quinn Hughes.
amazing all year, and then you got like uh uh what's his name? Fucking Pedersen has come alive. Like you can tell
Oh,
his mental game, like you could tell before, it had to be mental before with him. Because this year and the difference between the last 2 seasons from him, like it's like night and day. Like it's crazy to see. Like he's coming more into his shell. Like Natchez, right? Like we saw now, like Natchez is playing less scared. He's playing with more confidence. Like same thing with Pedersen. And now you get JT Miller back, who like let's be real, like JT Miller is honestly, I know I said what's his face was the most underrated in the league, but a JT
Miller,
Miller
yeah.
actually, yeah, JT Miller actually might be the most underrated player in the NHL. He
Also,
just
shout
might
out to
be.
former Bruin. Hey, shout out to former Bruin Jake DeBrusk.
I was just gonna
Yeah,
say
he's
that
been
too. He took the
balling.
words, but yo,
He's
actually,
been
Owen,
balling.
before we cut the cord, like, can you give us like a little like because you gave me the Jake DeBrusk percentile shit before. We've seen that before. Like,
Wait.
do you have the
Can I name
card
my
pulled
two
up?
teams? Can I name my two teams?
I can pull it
Yes,
up. I
go.
got you guys.
Pull the card
Wait,
up.
Owen, hold
Yes.
on. All right. So I know we're throwing away the Eastern Conference, but I'm bringing it back. All right. So number one, obviously, this is common sense because if the Bruins keep playing like this, they're not making a seed. I think it's going to be the Lightning because Jake Gensel's been balling recently.
That's
Yeah,
true.
Gensel has been. He has been.
Gensel is crazy.
He's been
And then
balling. I can give you that for sure.
my other one, you may not like it, but this is just more as like a dark horse underdog. But like you can throw it away if you want. I think the Flyers, honestly.
No.
Boy, if you don't.
No, listen though, listen. I
You
have
not
reasoning.
say Mitch Call. Don't be that kid, the Flyers OT kid from the group chat.
If
I'm
Fuck
not.
that kid.
Listen,
you invite
hear me
one
out.
more Flyers
For
fan to that chat, I swear.
Yeah, seriously.
No, we're good with those two. Those two are fine. All right, but listen. If the Flyers can figure out if they're gonna rebuild or contend, because number one, the roster is very young, right? Number two, they have tons of talent on that team. But the main issue is their goalies. Their goalies are just young and not tested.
Right.
If they can figure all that out, and if they can figure out to contend, I think they could sneak in a wild card spot.
I mean, the East is so bad where it's like, I want to believe you. Like, what you just gave me, like, I want to
Yeah,
pause. What
exactly.
you just gave me, like, I want to believe that pause. But, like,
But
at the same time,
everyone is so mid to the point where like even the Islanders could like sneak in.
yeah, but
Once
do you think,
Barzal gets healthy, and Duclair just got back from injury, right?
yeah, but do you think Konechny is a
Yeah.
franchise player?
No,
They,
that's a
they
crazy
signed him.
discussion.
No, they signed him for like 8 years though.
That's not bad for
Right?
So,
connecting. Connecting's pretty good. I
like,
will give
He's
connecting
a
some
good
credit, but
player.
he's
not
good,
franchise.
but he's a
They're gonna have him till
right-handed
like he's 37 though.
he's a
If they have
right-handed Trevor Zegras. He's
He
he's
provides a lot
literally
more
a
value. That's kind of an insult to Konechny, though. Konechny
okay.
is a lot
I
more
like
You're
him.
right.
valuable.
I like him.
He's a pest. He can play defense actually for his size. Like I'm not gonna lie to you. Like that was a little disrespectful. But like offensively, what like do you see a difference between him and Zegras other than like Zegras might have better hands?
Seegers plays a lot more controlled.
Yeah.
Seegers
Like-
plays with a lot more control than Konechny does.
That's true. That's true. I can give you that, but I'm just asking him like, what do you see in this team for you to think they're gonna make the playoffs? Like, I don't see
Nothing.
anything.
I don't think they make it. That's for
Like,
I just think they can. I just think they have a chance to like sneak in through the wild card, but like I don't have.
oh, you're crazy.
I just think they're gonna get. If they do, I think they're gonna get out first round. But if they do,
Do we?
I'm gonna laugh at you so much. I'm gonna laugh at
Do
both.
you want, we could make a bet. I'll do it
I'm not
live
betting.
right now.
I'm not
You don't have to
betting
pay me nothing. I'll give you $100 if the Flyers make the playoffs. I'm being so serious. It's on recording right now, so
yeah.
there's no
they're
way.
second in the wild card right now. Hey,
There's
be
no way
careful.
I can avoid it. Like,
I'll
you
let
really
you
believe you really believe?
They're
I believe
probabilistically
95%.
likely to make it,
95% of
or
it.
it's
But
more
listen,
favorable for them.
Bro, I'm telling you right now, everybody
the
that's
Metro is
watching
so
this pod,
bad.
everybody that's watching this pod and that's going to watch this pod, I'm telling you, I will give Buddy $100 if the Flyers make the playoffs. You don't gotta give me
Dude, the
nothing. I don't
Metro
care.
is so bad. What are you
I'm
talking about?
I'm so confident. I'm so confident the Flyers will make the playoffs. Like, I'm so confident.
Okay, the Capitals and the Hurricanes, right? Those are the main two. Rangers are on the decline. Who's at
Bro,
32?
I could think of bro, I trust the Penguins more than them.
Yeah, that's fair.
That's saying something.
I do
And
too. I do too. The
and not
Penguins
because
are
they have
one of the most intriguing teams ever right now.
they
They are
legitimately
If the Penguins don't rebuild, then absolutely. But if they start a rebuild, then they're not.
they're not going to. They're
Yeah.
literally in the hunt.
You know what I'm saying?
Like, no, they have Crosby still.
They're-
They have Letang still. They've got Malkin still. Like, this is a team that thinks they can compete. And when you have a team you have those guys that play together, then you have Brian Rust, who's been there for years. Like, yes, they lost Gensel, but they have Raquel. Raquel's been balling this year.
Oh,
It's like
never
the
mind.
pet.
I totally forgot the Devils were a team. Never mind.
That's what I'm saying. Like, and then you
I
got.
totally
So I
forgot
can think
New
of
Jersey
teams
was
up.
a
I
team,
can
bro.
give you teams ahead of Flyers right now. I Carolina,
But in the upcoming years,
Boston,
I think the Flyers will be
Carolina.
good.
Listen to this one. Carolina, Boston, Rangers, Islanders, Hurricanes, Penguins, Capitals. That's 7 off rip, and then Florida. I forgot Florida, didn't I? I didn't say Florida. That's 8. There's no way the Flyers are making the playoffs. There's no way. I will
Well,
literally
yeah.
give you $100 if the Flyers make the playoffs. I'm being so serious, dude.
So,
It's
so
on recording.
I forgot
No
New
one can say
Jersey.
it.
I
Huh?
forgot New Jersey had a team. But like,
Yeah,
if they
and
can't
I
stay
don't even think I
healthy,
mentioned New Jersey. So that's 9.
they just have to stay healthy. That's the thing with New Jersey. They're never healthy.
But can they?
If they can, then I think they can make it. They can make a run for
And
sure.
just
I know the top five teams now.
it doesn't look. You don't think they're a top 5 team?
I gave you my top five.
No, like out of the East.
Oh yeah, they are a top five team in the East.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay. I was like, whoa. They're definitely not a top
No,
5
no,
team in the league, though.
no. In the league,
I wouldn't.
absolutely not. They're top
I
10.
wouldn't say they're top.
Maybe top
I
10.
would say,
Yeah.
yo, Minnesota. If we're gonna go top 5, I would say Minnesota, Vegas, Winnipeg, Dallas, and
Whose cat was that?
mine. um, acting like a fool because she sees the other cat in the fucking window like an idiot. Yo, that cat doesn't like you. Like, literally does not like you. You guys are not gonna be friends. Fucking, and then you got, and then you got. I'm going Florida. Like, as much as people, I'm going Florida 5. Like, if those are
Yep.
the top 5, the 4 teams in
Yeah.
the West that are at the top of the totem pole right now. Yo, this is gonna sound crazy, but I forgot. Maybe, yo, if Utah is playing like the way they did the last 3 games, it gets scary for the West.
Yeah. We gotta wrap
Loki.
this up.
But guys, this was fucking awesome. Great first
Yeah,
pod.
I love it. Oh, and thank
Thank
you.
God we actually found a place to record on because that fucking app that I paid
Yeah.
fucking
We would
$80
probably
for.
we wouldn't have recorded like after maybe New Year's, bro. That's bad.
Christmas. Like honestly, after Christmas, and that would have been dicey because I have the Chef G show. Oh yeah, speaking of which, before we out of here, everybody,
Oh
I'm
God.
opening up for Chef G December 27th at Culture in Providence, Rhode Island. Me and Chef G gonna be live. I need you guys to come out and come
You
support.
guys
It
should
would be
catch a
awesome if you
Providence
could.
Yes,
Bruins
sir.
game.
I know both of y'all can't because y'all are both not near that. But
Yeah.
um, I would very much hope
Amari,
that,
Amari, Amari.
anybody watching this right now, if you are from New England or you can make your way to Providence, Rhode Island, December 27th, I am opening up for Chef G. So that would be awesome.
You two should catch a Providence Bruins game together.
No, low key, I can't lie to you. Like, I've been kind of thinking about, like, just going to a Providence Bruins game to see what it's about because I've never been, bro. I've only been to
I've
Bruins
been to
games,
one.
BC, BU, Beanpaw. I went to the Beanpaw every year growing up with my dad, my grandfather. Actually, it's crazy. My grandfather took me to a Flyers Bruins game when I was a kid, and
Who did the
it sounds
Flyers?
so crazy, but I was so in like for some reason Claude Giroux was just my favorite player growing up. Like
That's so
I
valid. I love Claude Giroux.
like I don't know how
Why?
to describe it to you, but just like his
What
game, the
happened
way
to the
he
guy?
played,
Is he
he was
still
just
on Ottawa?
nasty. I had I had a Claude Giroux t-shirt jersey and I wore it to the Bruins game and got heckled the whole game as a kid.
I would have
Yeah,
heckled you too.
yeah, like it was not and we were sitting like 3, 4 rows behind the glass. But the only thing that saved me was my best friend Chris. Like God forbid, I hope he watches this to get to the end. But fucking like he came up from like right behind me. Was like, "Yo, Amari!" Like we were like in like 7th grade, 8th grade. But yeah, that was like a very cool experience. But the Bean Pot, yo, if you guys have never been to the Bean Pot, you guys got to go to the
I
Bean
gotta
Pot,
go.
bro.
I want to
I
go
want
to
to go to a
BC.
Beanpot someday, dude.
You
I
got
can't
to
lie.
go to the Bean Pot, bro. It's like the
That's where
purest
it's
hockey
at.
you could get. It's just rivalry hockey at its finest, dude. Like I don't even know how to
Yo,
describe it to you.
Amari. By the way, Amari, you
What?
should stream the World Juniors.
You said what?
You should stream the World Juniors.
The World Genius?
Yeah.
That sounds familiar.
Hockey.
What? Oh, hockey? Is it a hockey podcast or what is it?
No, World Juniors, like the Four Nations.
Oh, the World Juniors. I watched that, of course. Yeah, duh.
Yeah, stream that.
You want me to stream it when we get off?
No, like when it's on.
Oh, the Four Nations? I'm going to the Four Nations. How am I going to stream that?
Stream it with your camera. Just like put it in your phone in
Nah, just
landscape
bring your
mode and
whole
stream
setup.
it to us.
Bring your whole
You
setup.
want me to bring we do an IRL stream at Four Nations Cup?
Yeah, absolutely, dude.
24
Come
hours
on.
stream
I,
account. It'll be lit.
my stream would get taken down in 10 seconds by whoever's broadcasting it.
Nah,
Yeah,
you'll be
that's
fine.
that's probably true. I can't lie.
We'd
I
get
think it's
taken
I'll
down in
probably be
10
Sportsnet
seconds.
for this.
But guys,
Yeah.
that was awesome. But
Yeah,
yeah,
thank
if you
you.
guys don't know, Four Nations Cup, February, I'm going to the Four Nations Cup. I'm gonna film. We're gonna do a live pod. I don't even want to spoil it, but I just want to tell you guys, like, there's gonna be something for the Four Nations I've got in the works. There's somebody I talked to on Instagram, so I'm gonna be live there. Risto, it would be awesome if you could be live at the Garden for it. I know you might not be able to, but it would be awesome if you could. And Owen, like, I would love to like keep having you like on these
Whoever's
episodes,
an
dude. Because
Owen from, yeah.
Of course, of course.
yeah, I
Thank
would
you.
definitely like to make you like an official panel member. So that would be awesome.
We should.
Yeah, that
We
would
need
be
him.
tremendous.
But all right, guys, smoke B center
Thank
out.
you. Have a good one.